program to be able to engage with them, and you've got some tips and tricks on how to do that. But now you've got to actually enroll them, right? Because if you can't enroll clients, you cannot serve them. So even something like this, this 3-hour live stream, which I hope that you're getting so much value out of, and I hope that this is really expanding your horizons and giving you some things to think about. And it's valuable, right? If you take this information, it's valuable. But we are just at the teeny, tiniest tip of the iceberg. Because what I share with people when I work with them in the program, we do the iceberg, right? You've got the whole picture. So how you're really going to be able to serve your clients is for you to work with them. That's where they're going to get the most value. That's where they're going to get the most results. And that's where they're going to get the most change. That's where you're going to create the most impact. So look, you got to learn to master this. And you got to learn to master the enrollment piece. We spend 2 weeks on this. 2 weeks on this, on mastering enrollment of your high-end clients. So what does that look like? You want to be able to, whenever you're having a sales conversation. Now, for some of you, I know that word sale is like, or sales is like the worst word ever. It just makes you feel icky and constrict, and you don't like doing it. And I have to tell you that you're not going to go very far in business if you do not learn to master sales. And it's all in the way that you look at it. Because if you're doing it the right way, it shouldn't feel icky at all. In fact, it should be a really beautiful experience and a beautiful exchange between you and your clients. And I'm going to give you a different perspective on how to look at that today. But what you really want to be able to do is empower your ideal clients to make a decision on the spot, right? So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that today. So I know most of you, or many of you, or some of you don't like the idea of having sales conversations, and you've kind of got a limiting belief around that. But again, an effective sales conversation is one where both parties feel good, right? They have a challenge, you have a solution, whether it be a product, a program, a service, whatever it is, and your job as the salesperson is to be able to help them make an empowered decision around whether or not this is a great fit for them. So here's how. All right. Zig Ziglar. I had the greatest opportunity to meet Mr. Zig Ziglar at a conference, and he and I were standing out before he passed away. We were obviously before he passed away, right? That was kind of a little blonde statement. Anyways, we were standing out in the hallway at a conference one time, and he was just such a gem and just so wrought with knowledge. In fact, he's the one who really transformed the way I thought about sales, because I used to be just like that. I used to hate sales, and now I love it. I love it. And here's why. Zig said, there's virtually nothing on earth that brings as much personal satisfaction and gratification as being able to save another human being a considerable amount of time, money, frustration, and or anxiety because of the goods, products, and services that you have to offer. Isn't that so true? If you have a service or a program or product that helps someone save a tremendous amount of time and struggle and heartache, or helps them live a better quality of life, that's so satisfying. It's so satisfying. I mean, I have to tell you, when I was filming the testimonials here for the MBA commercial, and at one point I literally had tears in my eyes, because if you listen to Barb, who, and again, I just love all of them, and with Barb, when she really talked about what a profound difference that it made in her business, that's why we do what we do. It was that moment. I literally turned around when she said that, and I turned around to my team behind the camera and said, that is why I do what I do. Right there. It's that moment when someone steps into their greatness and you get to witness it. You get to witness it. So we would have not had that opportunity had I not been able to have a conversation with her. that not only you can help them with what it is that they desire, but that you truly care about their outcome and their needs, right? Knowing their needs, and also sometimes they do have fear, but it's usually a different fear, because it's usually not a money fear, unless it's a fear of backsliding, because that's a big one among the affluent, right? That they've made it and now they don't want to lose it, and so they want to make sure that they don't lose it. That's a big one. Even though they also will readily admit to you that if they lost it all, they would just go make it back again, right? But it's a big thing. You've got to be able to know how to establish rapport with them and really connect with them on that level and showcase that you're the one to solve their problem, and then let them make the decision. So here's what I know to be true. Most people, they react negatively to high pressure sales. And I've seen this happen. Like, I've been at conferences where I've watched someone just be like, you're going to be a loser if you don't sign up, and blah, 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 blah. Most people don't like that. I mean, some people do, but most people don't. So in enrolling affluent clients, it is all about building a relationship with them, really, again, understanding their needs and then showcasing how you can solve it. And I will tell you, it is significantly easier than marketing to mass clients. Significantly easier, than selling to the masses. Significantly easier. And I'll share with you that in a moment. But first, I want to teach you the 3 most important aspects of sales. Okay? So write these down. Number 1, you got to be authentic, right? You've got to let them be who you are. I'll even remember actually someone that was one of the testimonials. She said, well, look, you've got a strong personality, and I'm not sure if I'm ready for that. And, I don't react well to this, that, and the other thing. And I said, hey, look, this is like, I'm going to guarantee you this is what you're going to get. Like, what you see is what you get. How I am here is how I am in my program. Ask my clients. They will tell you. It is also how I am at home. Right, Call? She said, yes. This is exactly how I am, no matter where you see me. What you see is what you get. So you either like it or you don't, and either way is cool with me. It really makes no difference to me. However, what you see is what you get. So be authentic. Be you. You don't want to... How much does it suck to go through life trying to be something that you're not, or being something that you think you should be, or, living up to someone else's expectations? Forget it. Throw it out the window. Be authentic. Do you? All right, be confident. You are the expert, right? You know your products and services better than anyone else. You know what you do better than anyone else. You know your background. You know your unique strengths. You know your unique talents. Be confident in that. Show up standing in your power, because whoever is more confident on the sales call is the one who's going to win. So if you're on the call with someone who is living out of some BS strategy, or like BS story that they're telling themselves, if you buy into their BS story, then they just won. And when they won, by that I mean they lost, because then they're not going to have the opportunity to actually evolve and have the experience of utilizing your gift to live a better quality life and have a better business. Right? So you need to be confident. And confidence comes from really honoring and being grateful for who you are and what you bring to the world, and own it. Own it, own it, own it. Okay? It's all you. And finally, be clear in your communications, right? The ability to communicate the benefits and the competitive advantage, right? Which, by the way, is responsible for more than 50% of your sales. And if you don't know what that is, then you've got to find out, right? That is something that we talk a lot about in the MBA program all the time, because you've got to know what it is. So you've got to know the benefits and the competitive advantage, and how that applies to your specific ideal clients. And most specifically, you need to be able to tell them how you're going to solve their problems now. You need to know that. You need to be able to clearly communicate it. So if you're on a sales call, which, by the way, for those of you who are like, I don't do sales calls, well, if you want to market to affluent clients, you're going to have to, because affluent clients, while they do purchase online, I will also tell you that in order for them to really enroll in higher end packages, they're going to want to have a conversation with you. You're not going to fling out an email and have a bunch of people enroll at $20,000 to work with you. They need to know who you are. They need to have that experience of you, and they need to be in your experience, and they need to have a sense that you are the expert. They need more than just what's going to be on a sales page. Now, they're going to look at your website, but they're also going to make a buying decision based on speaking to you. So you need to be able to clearly communicate the value that you offer to them in a way that matters to them. Now, this is a big one. So I want to show you guys this. Okay. I want to show you the difference because there's a huge difference between marketing to high-end buyers and marketing to the mass public. Or people maybe who are more price conscious. So let's just say it that way. There's a difference between marketing to people who buy based on value and those who buy based on price. So I want to show you something because I have taken a lot of sales trainings. I'm actually very good at having enrolling conversations. And the reason I am is because of those three things, right? I'm just me. It is what it is. I am the expert, and I'm totally willing and very confident in that, and I'm willing to share it. And I also understand how to communicate the value in a way that makes it very easy for people to make a decision, right? Plus, my coaching background doesn't hurt either, because that's basically all it is, right, is a coaching conversation. So I want to say that I've studied with a lot of master sales trainers, a lot. And I've also seen a lot of the enrollment scripts that have floated around in the industry. And in fact, many of you may remember that several years ago, I partnered with a friend of mine and we created the Conscious Selling Master Course, which is where we really talked about how to have conscious sales conversations. So I want to show you something really quick. This is the conscious enrollment script. This is something that we teach people to have communications and have sales conversations with people that are really more price conscious, right? So I just want to show you, it's 4 pages, 4 pages, you guys. These sales calls typically last an hour, okay? And there's, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 steps, and that doesn't even cover getting to the objections. 8 steps doesn't come to the objections. This takes a lot of time. Okay, now I'm going to show you the affluent marketing script. 1 page, one little page, right? 4 easy little steps. 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is that it takes so much less time to enroll an affluent client? Any guesses? Write them in the group. But I'm going to tell you now anyways. Number 1, affluent individuals. There's a reason that people are affluent. Most people did not fall off the turnip truck and, just land in millions of dollars. That didn't happen, Sure, there's people that have trust funds or they come from wealthy families, but look, I came from a wealthy family and I earned everything myself. I completely bootstrapped my business and did it all myself. I started with a big old credit card. That's it. I had no money to start my business. I started with a credit card and a lot of determination. So with that being said, there's a reason that they've become affluent. They've got certain behaviors and beliefs and a certain mindset about things that allow them to create wealth. So, that old saying, if you want to be a whatever, $100,000 business owner, $1 million business owner, you need to start making decisions like them. You need to model this behavior. If you took this course for nothing else, it's to really understand how these people think and operate through the world, because if you were to model that behavior and adopt that belief and that way of operating through the world, what do you suppose the results are that you would get, right? So here's some big things that I know to be true, and it makes it so much easier. Number 1, they make quick decisions. Okay? They make quick decisions. There's those of you, I'll use this live cast as an example. There's those of you who just got on, you're like, I get it. I need to learn to master this. I'm gonna figure it out. I'm gonna make it happen. And maybe you had the money and you've already made a committed decision and you've enrolled, right? Or maybe you're like, look, I don't exactly have the money in this moment, but I'm doing it. I'm gonna figure it out and I'm gonna get it done. That is how the affluent buy. They make very quick decisions. And the affluent also know that nothing happens until you make a decision. So and then there's some of you, and let's just be honest, right? There's thousands of people that register for this. There's some of you who are going to waffle around, you're going to hem and haw, and you're going to try to figure out, and maybe I'll just do it the same way that I've always done it, because that obviously worked really well the first time. Or maybe I'll just, surf around from free class to free class, and I'm not really going to invest in my business, but let me see how I can build it, because that's really worked really well too. There's people that are just not good at making decisions, and it's those people who really struggle. Right? It's people who cannot make a decision and line up behind it that struggle in life. And the people, even Napoleon Hill said this, he calls it the mastery of procrastination. And he did a study saying that the people who make the most difference in the world and the people who make the most money are those who are able to make a decision, and they make it quickly, and when they make it, they line up behind it. And if they made the wrong decision, then they change, and without a beat, they move on to the next decision. But they do not operate out of a place of fear and lack. Which leads me to the next one. The affluent don't operate out of a place of fear and lack. They're really clear. They know what they want. You either deliver to them what they want or you don't. And if you've done your homework, you are. Right? You are delivering to them what they want. But they don't operate out of a place of fear and lack. Like, they don't get on the phone and be like, oh, what if this doesn't work? And what if I, blah, blah, blah. And they don't hem and haw, and they don't dodge phone. They just don't do that. That's not how they operate in the world, which again is why they're affluent, right? They also make decisions based on return on investment. The affluent are very results oriented, right? They make a decision based on a return on investment. I can tell you, hands down, that even on my own team, we talk constantly about, it's all about the results. And I'm not just talking about financial results. I'm talking about how much impact we're creating for our clients, how good of an experience they're having. At the end of the day, I don't give a hoot how many hours you've logged or what you've done or not done. I just want to know what the result is. So, did we achieve the result that we desired to achieve, right? And this is also part of the masculine aspect of running a business, because you've got to have both, right? I definitely have the feminine aspect, which is the feminine and the compassionate and the caring, and I love my team, and I got my little puppy here with me, and I've also got that masculine side, which is at the end of the day, what's the result? So especially if I'm investing in something, I just want to know at the end of the day, did you deliver? Did you do what you said you're going to do? And if you did, great. And if you didn't, we're going to have a problem, right? So what's the result? And they use their gut. Now, and we're going to talk about this when we talk about excuses. When I say they use their gut, they get, I can make a decision right now. I can just drop in, check my gut, and make a decision. And I'm very spiritual, but I don't need to pray on it for 24 hours. I don't need to meditate for overnight. Because honestly, a lot of times that's when people are using their spirituality as an excuse. And we're going to go over excuses later. But they're like, yeah, let me check in. Yep, sounds good. Or they'll say, even if they don't buy right there on the spot, which I will tell you, it happens more that they buy on the spot than not. But if not, they're very clear. They're like, you know what? I just want to talk to 2 of your clients, and I'm good to go. And then they do. In fact, actually, Colleen and I are actually talking to a client right now for our branding agency, and it's a huge proposal. I mean, tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars. And this is exactly how the affluent buy. And I'll actually use that as an example when we get to this script. I'll show you how that works. But they use their gut and they move forward very quick. They're quick to make a decision. They don't want to wait around. They don't want to they don't want to waste any more time. They just want to get it done. They want to get the results that they want, and they want to get them now. All right, so I'm going to tell you the 4-step sales process. So shake out your hands, stretch them out, because we're going to go fast, and then we're going to be doing some QA stuff. All right, number 1, when you get on the phone with an affluent client, which, by the way, you need to pick up the phone and talk to them. Did I say that before? Let me say it again. You need to be on the phone. We have in fact, actually, I bet you several of you are already talking to our sales crew. Right? You're talking to we call them our client service specialists, because they're really about providing you with the best client service possible and helping you come to an empowered decision. You're probably talking, many of you are talking to them right now. And it's, you've got to pick up the phone. I do not know one successful person who has done this solely by internet marketing. Not one. Not one. They're all having sales conversations. So, number 1, you get on the phone with your client and you need to diagnose the issue. So you get on the phone with them and you get really curious. In fact, I'm literally going to go over my script here and I'll model it for you a little bit. You diagnose the problem. You get really curious. Essentially, pretend that you're their doctor, right? So when you go into the doctor and you're looking for a remedy to whatever issue you're having, right? Your doctor's going to start asking you some questions. So the very first thing that you need to do is you need to examine their needs and wants. You need to listen for what their biggest challenges are. Why are they calling you? Because if someone is calling you, they have a challenge and they're looking for you to solve it for them. Otherwise, they would not be on the phone with you. Let me just say that again. If someone has a problem, they're going to pick up the phone and get it solved. And if they're on the phone with you, it's because they have a problem and they're looking for you to solve it. So the first thing that you need to do is you need to understand what exactly the problem is. So for you coaches out there, you are going to love this. So you might ask questions like, yeah, so this is what it would sound like if I was talking. So let's just say I was talking to, I'll just name her Jen. Okay, so Jen, tell me a little bit about what's going on for you. Like what's going on in your business for you right now? Okay, now again, I serve businesses. So what is going on for you in your business right now? Okay, cool. So what have you been doing? Like what have you been doing in your marketing? So let's say that obviously they're like, I really want to master enrolling affluent clients. Cool. What have you been doing now to work on that? So how are you currently marketing? Because I want to understand what's going on for them, right? And I'm also listening because maybe she's doing things that have nothing to do with marketing to affluent clients, right? Okay. And what is it that you ultimately want? Like, let's just say you and I work together for 6 months, and at the end of 6 months or the end of 3 months or whatever it is, what do you want to have happen? How do you want to transform this? Okay? What's the result that you desire? Remember, affluent clients are very result-based. What do you want? So you want to really understand. So, at the end of this, Kelly, I want to have 10 new affluent clients, and I want to feel confident in it. I want to feel confident in my marketing. I want to feel confident in my delivery. I just want to know that I have a solid business foundation. I'm not spinning my wheels anymore. Cool. Awesome. So that's step number 1. You need to diagnose the issue. What do they perceive as their issue? And what do you as the expert also know is going on for them? Right? So maybe they said, well, I'm doing all this marketing, but as the expert, they're not doing the right things to market. They're following the wrong strategies. Okay? Well, this is your opportunity because in step 2, you're going to be the expert, right? And you're going to show them why you're the one to solve it. And you are going to show them, right? So you need to reinstate the problem. All right, Jen, so what I really understand from you is, look, you've been in business for a long time. You're doing a really great job. You've got a very unique service that you're offering. But for some reason, you've not been able to successfully market to your ideal clients. And you're not getting the ideal affluent clients at the consistency that you would like over and over again. Is that right? Yes. All you're doing is restating what they already said. You need to let them know, yeah, I heard you, I got you, right? I got you. Okay, cool. All right, so Jen, one of the things that I noticed when, showcase being the expert, Jen, one of the things that I noticed when you were talking was that you said you're doing all this marketing stuff, but the things that you're doing in marketing, and I'd have to look closer, but the things that you're doing in marketing, those aren't things that are really going to effectively target your affluent clients. So, affluent clients, and then I might throw out a couple things. Look, affluent clients, they are really discerning. And yes, they're online, but you can't just throw this out anyway. Are you then taking those blogs and maybe posting them in specific Facebook groups that are targeted to your ideal clients? Or how are you making sure that they get them? Are you doing a Facebook ad campaign and specifically targeting it to your certain ideal client demographics and only in this age range with this and this interest and blah, 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 blah? No? Okay, cool. So here's the good news. It sounds like you've got the right idea, but you're not really executing it in the way that's going to work for affluent clients. So would you like to know, right? Step 3, solve or I might even check in at that point. Does that sound right? How does that sound to you? Does that resonate with you? What do you like about what I just said? And they'll tell you, yeah, you know what? God, and then you can engage in a conversation with them. You know what? Someone told me to do blogging, but I don't really like blogging anyways. Well, Jen, that's probably another reason it's not working for you. What do you like to do? Well, I really like to speak Cool. Do you like to speak live, or do you prefer to speak on live streams? Have you ever done this? Have you ever done that? Oh, well, yeah, I really like to do this and that and the other. Cool. So, Jen, what I would do is, one of the first things I would do is I'd help you redo your marketing strategy, and I would help you really not only focus on the things that you love to do and that you feel excited and passionate about, but I would help you target it in a way that you're not wasting your time, that you're only doing marketing that's specifically going to attract those kinds of clients. Does that sound good? Oh, yeah, that's exactly what I want. Excellent. So perfect. So do you want me to tell you a little bit about how we can work together on that? Yes. That's when you solve the problem. You describe your options. So in the Marketing to Millionaires MBA program, I teach people to do 3 different packages, and there's a reason for this, right? And what I have them do is I have them do like small, medium, large. I call it the Goldilocks pricing strategy. And the reason that you're doing this is because different people have different needs. But you're only creating packages that specifically are going to solve your affluent clients. So you might say something like, so Jen, tell me a little bit about how you like to work. Like, do you prefer to get it done in a day? Do you like being in training communities? Do you like to have it, do you want, it to be private? Tell me a little bit about what it is that you like. And then she tells you like how she likes to have things solved. Me, I'm a done in a day buyer. I don't want to go sit through a year-long training course unless there's a community involvement, because then I'm enrolling for a whole different reason. I'm enrolling for community. I know a lot of people who really want like the community and the training, and they want to learn how to master this. Now, I will also say, actually, that's not exactly true, because there are things that I'm like, I want to learn how to master this, and then I will go and train on that specific thing. So that's not true. But I am looking for probably a higher priced, lower time investment, something that's specialized. All right, so now you want to describe how you solve the problem. All right, cool. So there's 3 ways that I work with clients. So let me tell you the 3 ways, and then let me tell you which one I think is going to best suit you. And you're going to tell them your 3 options, and then you're going to make your recommendation, because remember, after all, you are the expert. And you're going to say to them, and here's why I'm making this recommendation to you. Because I think based on what you told me, and you've got the kids at home, and I know you're really busy, and you just want to get it done. You want the strategy, and you want to get it done, and so you want to do it this way. Right? So you're going to give them a recommendation. And at the end of that, I literally say something like, so how does that sound? Awesome. Is that exactly what you're looking for? Yes. Cool. So you want to get started? That's step 4, by the way. You want to get started? I will tell you right now, you guys, you're probably like, oh my God, this is so simple. It is. It does with affluent clients, because what did I tell you? They make decisions quickly, right? They gut check. Even if for whatever reason they are not willing to make a decision on the spot, which I will tell you very rarely happens with truly affluent clients, they're usually like, done. Because if they're going to take the time to get on the phone, they want a solution. They're ready. They're ready to go. If at very least they might say things like, in fact, actually this happened with our client. She said, hey, look, I'm actually going to be leaving. I'm leaving out of the country. We actually needed to get her a proposal, because that's a whole different ballgame where we have customized proposals that are, very in-depth. She said, send me the proposal. I already know exactly what her budget is. She said, meet it and we're good to go. It's literally that simple. And that is a tens and tens and tens of thousands of dollars. So that's the thing that you need to know with the affluent. It's like, if they get you, and literally that's exactly what she said, right? She's like, I feel like you get me. You're like, you got it. You got exactly what I need. I know that the guys are the right ones. You've come highly recommended. They were referred to me by like 3 other people. So they had been referred to me. They know that we're, legit. She's like, let's just get going. I want to get going the day I come back. 1 page, people, 1 page. So that's how you do it, right? You diagnose the problem, you showcase your expertise, you solve the problem, and then you ask for the order, right? Ready to go? Great. And then that's when you go into, making sure that you are able to, get the contract out to them, get their payment method, get them all set up. And at that point, you should also have, you should be ready to be able to show them immediately that they're valuable clients, right? So you have something that you do, whether it be sending out a letter or you send them, a gift or whatever it is. So when do you want to start? Get their contract. By the way, if you guys are not working off a contract, this is business. businesses work off contracts, right? Payments, and then book the service. You get them their welcome card, and look, there you go, bada bing, bada boom. You got a brand new client, and you guys are gonna ride off happily into the sunset together. All right, now, what do you do? In fact, actually, let me give you one more tip. Use your words. I used my words because they feel super natural to me, but don't model the process, not me, right? You use your words. Use the words that feel you and that you feel good saying. I mean, I use my jargon, my, whatever. When I'm on the phone with a client, I'm just me. This is it. I talk exactly how I'm talking right now. In fact, many of you who have been in my client, are my clients, or you've been on the phone with me in this situation, you're like, yeah, that's pretty much how she shows up. All right, now what do you do if they're not ready to buy right there on the spot? So sometimes they do have objections, right? And objections are normal. Objections mean they're interested. So when they have objections, that's actually a good thing, right? Because there's really only two reasons that people don't buy. The first reason is that they just don't like you, that happens. I've been on the phone with clients where I was very clear. I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Like, we're not a good fit. Like, our personalities don't mesh. And yeah, it's not going to go well. And I do have a strong personality, so I'm really clear when my personality doesn't match with someone, or, if someone's behaving in a certain way, I'm just not, that's just not how I want to work. So be clear. Don't ever go for a sale. Always go for a fit. Always, always, always go for a fit. And then, but you do need to be able to prepare to overcome their objections, like, whatever those objections are. And you should know by talking to your clients the ones that they come up with. And you also need to ask them how much time they need. If they tell you they need 3 weeks, chances are that's an excuse. So what you want to do is you want to set a back-end appointment to check in. And always ask the following question. Ready? What else do you need from me to make a decision? And set an appointment to get back on the phone with them. Don't leave it up to them. I will also tell you, especially if you're working with the mass buyers, always set an appointment, because their stuff constantly gets in their way. Okay? So what does no mean? Right? So no could mean I don't like you, and I don't feel a connection, and I don't feel rapport, and I don't want to work with you. Okay, that's totally fair. Let them go, right? Let them go find someone that resonates with them. And quite frankly, you want to let those people go because they end up being a nightmare. So if you have to drag them in, you're going to have to drag them around. Ugh, forget it. Number two, the other reason that they don't like, that they may not buy from you is maybe they already have the need. Maybe they thought you did something else and their need is already being satisfied somewhere else. Okay, well then if they don't need you, let them go. Sometimes they'll ask, well, why did you call me? What made you call me? Okay, so that's the other one. The other reason that they say no is because you've just not you've not finished your job. You've not really given them the valuable enough information for them to say yes, right? And they aren't confident in your ability based on the way that you presented it for you to be able to solve their problems. Here's what I will tell you. The statistics show that 60% of the sales occur after the prospect has said no 5 times. So if someone says no to you and you tuck your tail between your legs and run off, you're not being of service to yourself or to them. Sometimes people say no. In fact, actually, we as human beings, we are trained and conditioned to immediately say no. Right? Have you ever done that with your kids? They come up to you and they're like, Mom, I want, no. I'm sorry, what do you want? That's how we're conditioned and trained to be able to we just automatically, our first knee jerk is no. In fact, I've worked with affluent clients that their first knee jerk is always no, and then they come back and they're great clients. So how you turn it around is when you've given your prospect new information, they have the opportunity to make a new decision. And don't ever argue with them, right? Just understand that you haven't finished your job and provide them with the additional information that they need in order to make an empowered decision today. And, truly, maybe it isn't the right time. Maybe you thought you did one thing, and what they really need is, this happens actually between one of my business partners and I all the time, where, people come to her and they need, they want systems help, but they have no marketing to even need systems. That she's like, go talk to Kelly first and then come back to me, right? Or they'll come to me and they want marketing work to get new clients, but they are so overloaded that they can't even create the space for them, and then I might refer them to her, okay? All right, so again, There's only two real no's, and that's if they don't like you or if someone's already fulfilling their need. Everything else is an opportunity. Now, let's talk for just a moment, and then we're going to get into the Q&A. Are you guys going to get me updated questions?
I have 3 emails to you right now.
Okay, great, perfect. I will check in on that in a moment. All right, so here's when we get to a bunch of excuses. Now, I will tell you, affluent people are less likely to make excuses, right? They're just less likely. So, but however, just in general, you might hear things like, oh, I don't have time for this. So if you don't have time, you might want to look at, if they don't have time for this, you might want to look at your packages, right? No money, they have to check in with their spouse or their spirit guide or their totem animal or whatever the hell else they're checking in with. That's an excuse, right? It's an excuse. So why are they making an excuse? Why do people make excuses about buying? Because they're afraid, right? People, when they are afraid, maybe they're afraid to face their demons, or maybe they're afraid to step up, or they've got some underlying fear. It's like they know that they need you, and they know, in fact, I'm sure there are some of you out there right now, you know, as an example, you need this program. You know you've got to figure out a way to get it, right? You know you do. You know you do. But then something comes up like, what if it doesn't work? Or what if I am not successful? Or what if I fail at marketing to the affluent? Or this is the other one, because it goes on the flip side too. What if I become so successful that I lose my life and my freedom because I love my life the way it is right now, and I don't want to be eaten alive by work, right? Making excuses isn't an empowered decision. So if your client's making excuses, this is a time that you need to take a stand for them, right? Or they will never get what they want. Never. Right? If someone is operating and running their life or their business based on fear, lack, and excuses, will they ever get what they desire? So you've got to take a stand for them. You got to take a stand for them. And it's not about bullying them into a sale, because that's not what we're talking about. I do not recommend that strategy at all. Like I said, if you have to drag them in, you're going to have to drag them around. Okay? But it is about you taking a stand for them and taking a stand for their greatness and reminding them about what it is that they really want in this world. Okay? So we cover how to handle objections in the MBA program extensively, but what I do want to say is take a stand. Take a stand. You're the expert. You can, if you feel that you can help them, if you don't, refer them to someone else. Go for a fit, not for a sale. All right, guys. So then, using that formula, you rinse, repeat, and enjoy, and you get to serve all of the people that you were meant to serve while you're making a great living, doing what it is that you love most. Okay, it's QA time. All right, so do I just drag this down like this? Oh, okay, I get it. I got it. Okay, cool. All right, Marie says, what the heck's a rubber chicken lunch? Okay, so I'm kind of being silly about that, but you know, like those typical network luncheons that you go to, and you know they always serve chicken, right? They always serve some chicken with some sauce, with whatever, and it's like all the same people all mulling around, and they may or may not be serious business people, but they're certainly not your ideal clients. That's a rubber chicken lunch. Okay, I've got lots of questions here about specifics about will the MBA program work. My suggestion is click on the contact us form. My team is standing by to ask you if it's ideal. What I can tell you is anybody who wants to learn to market to affluent clients, this will work for you. I will also say for you that we specialize in working with service-based, conscious entrepreneurs. And marketing to the affluent is marketing to the affluent. So it just really, it depends. So call my team. Let's see here. Questions number 2. Okay, great. I may butcher this name. Aline Guetta. Do you contact them by buying mailing lists or phone numbers? So you can. That's a more advanced strategy. That's one of the things I do cover in the MBA program. You can do that. What I would also say is that works for certain people, but that really is a little bit more of a mass marketing strategy. And I would prefer that you do it in the variety of other ways that we teach you first, prior to doing that. Now, on occasion, like I've had clients that have had such niche specialties. Like I had someone at one time who worked specifically in looking to market services to affluent handicapped individuals. we recommended buying a list because we think that that's the best way for them to be able to go after it. But it kind of depends on a case situation. And I mean, again, that's kind of one of the beauties of the MBA is you've got private office hours with me. So if you've got specific questions about your business, call me and ask. All right. Marie Bernard says, what about people who aren't clear? Lots of talent, lots to offer, very little focus. That's why we spend 4 weeks on that, because that actually is really common when you've got so much going. And I kind of say it's kind of like it's hard to read the label of a bottle from the inside. So it's really hard when you've got so many passions and talents and gifts for you to really pull it all together and be like, yeah, this is what you do. And this is super, super common. And again, this is why we spend 4 weeks on this, and I laser in with my students and help them figure out what their secret sauce is. Jill says, how can I market online without seeming like a spam monster? Yeah, don't do that. So it's about marketing more targeted, right? You want to be able to target your ideal clients. And again, if you're that also says to me, when people are relying solely on email, it's like that's kind of how you get it, is to become a spam monster. Another thing that we teach in more advanced marketing courses is to be able to segment your list so that you're specifically having conversations with specific individuals. So that's one of the ways that you can do that. Because yeah, it's not fun. It doesn't feel good, and honestly, it doesn't yield any results anyways. Lori said, what if I'm just starting in my business? Can new business owners join? Is this the right program? Yes. And the reason why is, so it is for people who really, that you understand business, because I do teach at a higher level than a lot of the other coaching programs out there. But what I will also say is we lay such a clear and powerful foundation that as long as you feel confident, that you're a quick learner and that sort of thing, absolutely. Do it right the first time, sister. All right. Again, I'm getting lots of questions about the program, guys, like when are the office hours and the QA calls? Are the calls recorded? Yes. Wednesdays, 9 a.m. Office hours are from 9 to noon Pacific time, so they're for 3 hours. How are the buddies paired together? We are reinventing that process because we learned a lot from our first go around, and we're actually doing it a little bit different this time. So we are going to look to really pair people up in a powerful way, and we're actually going to do it bigger than just buddies. We're going to do little small mini mastermind groups. So, and one of the things about me that you guys may or may not know, I'm super open to client feedback. In fact, I ask for it constantly. They will tell you. I constantly like, does this work for you? Does this not work for you? We want your feedback, and we will tailor things to make them more effective. That's exactly why we did the MBA. That's exactly why we did the beta program, so that we could get everyone's feedbacks. Oh boy, we've got lots of questions coming in here now. Grant, you have only women clients giving testimonials on your video. Do you have many male clients? We don't allow male. No, I'm just kidding. We totally allow males. What I say is I've got like my group of conscious guys. And so absolutely we offer our services to men for sure. Jeff Lawton, it's Grable. I've got a bunch of male clients, and absolutely we love our dudes too. In fact, actually, if you're single, great place for you to be hanging out because there are lots of girls in our program. All right. Dana Takata, I'm selling high-end intensive and retreats. They can't be really purchased online, can they? I usually do a call or a session first. Good strategy, lady. Good strategy. So yes, they can be purchased online. You want to give people an option, but what I would really do is I would absolutely require them to give you a call and talk to them, because here's what we know that internet marketing says. Really online, like if it's just a sales letter, $2,000 is about the threshold. Doing something online with a combination of something like this, we can kind of get up and charge a little bit more, because you have the experience of really seeing me and interacting with me, and so that works a little bit better. But I'll tell you right now, like with my really high-end programs, my programs that cost, $15, $30, $50, $100,000, that's more on the branding side anyways, absolutely we do a phone call. For sure. And also, quite frankly, we want to make sure that the clients are a good fit. We don't want to work with just anyone. We want to work with the right clients. That's important to us too. All right, someone's asking a question about how you start. Why is this one? How do we start without capital? I'm going to be honest with you. Can you start a business without capital? You betcha. When I started my business, I'd come out of corporate America. I was living a very luxurious life, paycheck to paycheck, but I was living a very luxurious life, right? I mean, but I just had a lot of expenses. I funded it on credit card. I totally believe in myself. I totally believed in my business. I knew that I needed to invest. In fact, the very first thing I invested in was my brand, then a VA, my brand, a coach, and a VA, in that order. A brand, yeah. A brand, then Alan, then a VA, yes. So I invested and I used credit cards. If you are trying to bootstrap your business from absolutely nothing and gain clients, can it be done? You betcha, especially if you've got a killer personality. If you took me and like that drive and that passion, and you also know a lot about business, if you dropped me right now and took away everything I owned and dropped me in the middle of Ohio, I could go build a business from nothing. And I'd be up to 6 figures in a matter of a month, 3 months, something like that. Absolutely, because I have that drive and determination. If you are brand new to business, and this is my opinion, and some of you may not agree with it, but I'm just going to tell you, if you have absolutely no money to invest, I would highly suggest that you really think about being employed and transitioning into entrepreneurship, because you're facing a big uphill battle. That's my opinion. I mean, it does take money to make money, right? It takes investing in the right stuff to be able to help you get the return on investment. Again, you're not going to surf from one free teleclass to another and really build your business. And you may not like that answer, but that's my truth and I'm sticking to it. Okay. Marie says, I feel like my ideal client would be male, but Kelly says market to women. Nope. If your ideal client's male, I'm sorry, you missed. I think I said it would be great for you guys to market to women because they have such a big buying power. But if your target market is males, go for it. You should work with the people that you really feel the most passionate about serving and that you feel the most resonance with. And if that's what your personality is, I mean, like I said, I do work with lots of guys. I also tend to work with a lot of my guys privately, but we have men in our group. So absolutely, if that's your ideal client, Marie, go for it. Michelle says, with this program, will I actually get personalized help with my message and my market? Yeah, so we, again, live Q&A and office hours. So you can do whatever you want on that time. And also if you pay in full, I mean, that mastermind it's awesome. Like, they made leaps and bounds in that mastermind. Are you going to go as in depth as you would if you were one of my branding clients? No, it's not as much private service as that, but it's also, a third of the price starting point, really more likely, a eighth of the price. So, it's enough to get you started, let's put it that way, for sure. And I'm really good at lasering in. If you actually read online, Veronica Cole called me and she was having trouble with this very thing, and literally on a 10-minute office call, I was like, wait a minute, isn't this exactly what you do? And this is how you serve? And she's like, oh my God, thank you. So yeah, you guys, great questions. I'm super excited about that. And you can keep them coming on my fan page too if you want. If you go to facebook.com/Kelly O'Neill International, and you can keep asking questions there, or ask my team, and they're all standing by and can answer your questions as well. All right, so we've got just a little under 15 minutes left. So I want to start to wrap up, but I'm going to actually give you a huge and juicy piece of information. Okay, I'm going to give you a huge and juicy piece of information right now. And I'm going to tell you the things that made the biggest difference in my business. But first, I want to thank you guys. Thank you for joining me today. I love this. I love doing this. Thank you for all of the awesome questions and the feedback that you're giving our team. Everyone's super excited about it. And then also just a reminder, the first 20 people are going to get who pay in full are going to get a VIP mastermind with me. So, and the first 50 are going to get our entire cash infusion system, which is a huge value. And I can tell you that there are several people in this program that utilizing that cash infusion system immediately went out and made enough money to pay for the entire program in its total. Also, I would invite you to check out my service guarantee. You know, I don't believe in money back guarantees, and it'll explain, you know, why. But what I do believe in is I am so confident in this program, and my team and me and our ability to help serve you. If you're doing the work and something, which I've actually never seen this happen, but if you're actually doing all the work and something's not working for you, I'll personally get on the phone with you at no charge, right? And I'm not talking about just during office hours. I'm talking about, like, I'll pick up the phone and I will help you work it out. Because I am in the business of helping you guys get the results that you desire in your business and taking your genius and sharing it with the world. So check out my service guarantee. That's, you know, it's a pretty, I've not seen that one out in the industry, and it's just, I stand by my work. Okay, all right. I'm also going to tell you really quickly, for those of you, I'm going to tell you how you can get this entire program for free. Okay, so if you join our referral partner program, and we're actually going to have a couple encores of this presentation. So if you refer 3 people who enroll, your investment is taken care of, because each person that you, it takes care of the whole thing. So if you know people who you think that might be a great fit, have them watch the next encore. Tell them about the program. Have them call our offices and talk to them. And we're happy to have this conversation. Again, this is why we're here. We're here to be of service to you. All right, let's talk about the 5 biggest differences in my business. And then for those of you who have just joined us, we are going to be playing the commercial one more time after the event so that you can catch it there. If you don't know what I'm talking about, stay tuned. It's actually very, very cool, and my awesome video team put it together for you. So it's very exciting. All right, here's what I want you to remember. Remember, I started from scratch too. Even though I grew up in an affluent family, I started from scratch. I was not handed anything. I did this on my own, right? Actually with resistance from my family, but I did it on my own. So here's the 5 biggest, I thought about this. What are the 5 things that made the biggest difference to me? Number 1 is being clear. I'm a person who doesn't do well when I'm not clear. I don't know which way to go. I'm such a strategic person, and I operate so, not that I can't fly by the seat of my pants, but I operate so strategically that it's important to me to know what it is that I want. So I wanted to be really clear on exactly what it is that I wanted for my life, right? Because I got really clear on that, and it's not what you would think. I used to think that I wanted to be like the next Tony Robbins. Forget it. It cuts into my yoga time, right? I like a lot of downtime. I don't want to be, traveling the world 300 days a year. It's just not my thing, I prefer smaller audiences. I prefer to have like 50 to 75 people in a room where I can actually step down off the stage and get to know people personally. I prefer it. So getting really clear about who I am and what I want was super, super important to it. And the other thing was being clear about being really committed to it, no matter what. No excuses. And let me tell you, I have had a lot of bumps in the road. A lot, such as life. I really do believe that your business is one of the places that you can have the greatest learning experience about yourself, and you can evolve and grow in a big, big way. So I think that it's important for you to be clear and be committed. I'll also tell you that not even just in my business, that's how I lost the weight. I was really clear. I was really clear that I wanted to serve the world in a huge way. I was also really clear that I had to take charge of my health in order to be able to do it. And I became really committed, and I just made a committed decision. I want optimum health. And so then all of my choices lined up for there. Same in my business. I want to serve people in a powerful way. I will not let anything stop me from doing that. It's why I'm here in this world. I'm here to be of service. Okay, so that was number 1. Number 2, this kind of goes hand in hand, right? Constantly working on growing and evolving. I'm never done. I believe that when we come down to this world, we're here for a reason, and we're all here to constantly learn and grow. I'm not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. Please don't call me a guru. Don't put me on a pedestal. Look, I'm a human being just like you. I have great days. I have bad days. I have awesome skill sets. I have things that I just flat out suck at. It's just not my strength, you know? And I think one of my strengths is actually being able to own that I don't do everything well. I've made lots of mistakes, and I've learned, and I've hopefully grown from them, and hopefully I won't have to make them again. So I believe in constantly working on myself and learning from every experience. You know, I've had, like I said, I've had a lot of adversity in my life. You know, one of the things I shared with you guys is I shared a lot about growing up in the affluent family that I did. What I didn't share about in this broadcast, although I'm not shy about it at all, is that I also didn't have like the happiest childhood home. I had a lot of opportunity for growth. Let me put it that way. My mom was an alcoholic. She's now in a nursing home. You know, I've had love. I've lost love. You know, I've been healthy. I've been not healthy. You know, I've had heartbreak. You know, I know that you guys know that my little Sammy is you know, not doing very well right now, although I'm hoping and praying and searching for a miracle. So all of you healers, please send. You know, and I've even had a cyber stalker that tried to destroy my reputation. I mean, I've had a lot of things that have happened, and what I know to be true is it's the way that you approach it. So I believe, and I can find gratitude in all of those things. You know, I can find gratitude in the fact that even though my puppy is sick, that I had 14 amazing years with her. And even though I grew up in a dysfunctional family, those people, I would not be who I am today without those lessons, because they taught me. Without that, I would not have grown and evolved. And, you know, even with my stalker, it allowed me to find my voice and take a stand for who I am and not be bullied by anyone, right? And the most important lesson in that was I will never let anyone dull my sparkle. You know, I will not succumb to bullying behavior. And actually, I'm going to be teaching on it. So all of these things, it's about working on yourself, learning the lessons, and growing and evolving. The third thing that I did that made the biggest difference was the mastering and rolling high-end clients. I mean, that was a big one, right? I already knew about it because obviously I grew up in that environment, and I knew marketing, but then I really had to sync up the two and create that program. That was huge. I think I said in the video how I started off with that strategy of the $97 ebook and almost went broke. So this was a big one for me. This is a game changer. And also, it was a game changer for two reasons. Not only was it a game changer because it allowed me to build my own business, but then also because I mastered it, now I get to teach all of you. So that was a game changer for me in being able to serve you in a way that then helps you grow your business, me grow my business, and all of us serve the world in the way that we were meant to. Number 4, expert support. Hands down, I am all about rapid acceleration. Okay, and I'm a little bit about instant gratification, I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little bit about that. So I don't want to do things the hard way. If at all costs, you know, if I could have taken a magic pill and lost 100 pounds in a day, I would have, right? That really, who wouldn't? But I also know that there's no such thing as a magic bullet, but I am also about fast tracking. I don't need to learn how to do everything on my own. I don't need to master everything on my own. Getting expert support, not only by mentors who have been there before or mastered something that I wanted to master. I just told you I was looking to hire a different coach. I've worked with lots of coaches. In fact, I've worked with lots of coaches that you've probably known in this industry. Many of my peers I've hired because they're better at certain things than I am. And I'm better at certain things than they are, right? We all just have our unique gifts, and I am all about learning from other people. One of the greatest things that I learned from my coaches, I want to know the mistakes they made. I want to know the mistakes they made so I can avoid them. Big time. So that's a big one. Also, knowing the things that I don't want to do. Like as an example, I don't want to do my books. I don't like it. I don't want to know how to do it. I don't want to know how to master QuickBooks. I'm happy to sign checks all day long. But that's why I have a bookkeeper. So getting that support, you know, support of my friends, support of my family, support of my team, support of my mentors, so important. Support of my mastermind community. So for those of you in my, you know, who I mastermind with every Monday, they're just a huge difference is because you cannot see the label of a bottle from the inside. And I don't see sometimes what I'm doing. And that's why I'm constantly looking for outside support. All right. And finally, number 5. And this one was the hardest one for me, especially because I can be a little bit of a control freak. I'm not going to lie. But I will tell you that every single time that I have made monumental shifts in my business is because I've done this. And that is taking a leap of faith. I read a quote once that said, sometimes your only available mode of transportation is a leap of faith. And I have to tell you that there are times, even though I'm as confident as I am, look, I'm a human being, right? I get afraid too. And I don't always have it in check. I really work on that a lot, but there's been times it's gotten the better of me. Like the first time I had my first big event and I had invested over $100,000 in it, I was scared shitless, let's be honest. I mean, literally, when I signed those contracts, I was like breathing in a paper bag because I was like, oh my God. And I totally went on a future trip and vacation. I'm like, what if it doesn't work? What if I lose my skin? But look, it was the greatest thing that I ever did. I returned 10 times on my